Om Jnana-timirandasya Kiranjana-shalakaya Chakshurmilitanjena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So we're continuing with Shri Prapanna-jivanamrtam, and we're in the first chapter, Prelude to Approaching Nectar. We're up to verse number 4. So yesterday we heard the first 3 introductory verses of pranam to the presiding deities of our Param Gurudev's mat, and then to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, very wonderful verse, and then to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the combined form of Shri Radha Krishna. Okay, now on to verse number 4, Param Guru Maharaj, and this is very beautiful. He's offering obeisance to this, like to his god brothers and god sisters, or those of the eternal servitor group of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Srila Gurudev, he established in our Govardhan temple. There's 2 guest houses there, and one, the bigger one, it was the first one. Srila Gurudev called it Shri Dayita Das Seva Kunj. Dayita Das being the internal identification, the internal name of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, indicating who is the beloved servitor of Srimati Radharani. So Gurudev, this, ontologically, this is so perfect what Gurudev did, because Srila Saraswati Thakur, he expressed that he wanted to stay in Govardhan in his last days. This is like the line, the Rupanuga line, and this was for those in the Rupanuga line. This is considered to be the highest aspiration, to stay in Govardhan, and then to Govardhan being like one step beneath Radha Kund. Radha Kund being the highest, considered to be the highest place, and then one step below Govardhan. So the idea is that that they will stay in Govardhan one step below, and their gurus will stay in Radha Kund, and then they will, from Govardhan they will go to Radha Kund and render seva there, and then return back, to Govardhan in the lower position. And in his last day, Srila Saraswati Thakur, he expressed this repeatedly, that he wanted to stay in Govardhan. He was planning to retire there. He actually requested one Balaram Panda, who I believe was one of his disciples, but at least was a follower, to make arrangements, to make something there for him to stay. But it never got that far. But at the time when Srila Saraswati Thakur was leaving the world, this Balaram Panda, who was in Govardhan, he had a vision, and he didn't know this was exactly the time that Saraswati Thakur was leaving, but he had a vision of Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur coming to him and saying, I have come here. So it is like in that last moment he came to stay in Govardhan. And so in honor of that, Srila Gurudev, he made this guest house, and he said it is for Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and his servitor group. And he said the sannyasis and brahmacharis will stay here, and then the other guest house that he made said will be for families. So he has his eternal serving group, and in this verse, Param Guru Maharaj is offering obeisance to them. Srimat Prabhu Padamboja Madhupebhyo Namo Namaha Tripyantu Kripayate Tra Prapanna-jivanamrtam. Again and again I make my obeisance unto the eternal personal servitors of my divine master, who drink the nectar of his lotus feet. I pray they may be graciously pleased in tasting this life nectar of the surrendered souls. Atma Vigyapti, a humble petition Atyavarchina rupopi prachinanam susamatan shlokan katipayan atra chaharami satam mude. Despite my disqualifications for the satisfaction of the pure devotees, I have compiled in this book an anthology of stanzas that are well established by your predecessors. So, Param Maharaj is beginning in this very humble way, and now he cites a verse of Srila Rupa Goswami. Tadvag visargo janataga viplavo yasmin pratishlokam abadhavachapi namanyanan tasya. Oh no, maybe this is from Bhagavatam actually. I think this verse is from Bhagavatam. Yeah, this verse is from Bhagavatam. Namanyanan tasya yashon kitani-yat shinvanti gayanti grinanti sadhava. I think this verse, it might be part of the chastisement of when Narad Goswami comes to chastise Vedavyas, because Vedavyas has compiled all the scriptures, but he hasn't clearly presented Krishna conception as the highest, and so he's feeling like something's missing. He's compiled all the Vedas, the Puranas, Mahabharata, etc., Vedanta Sutra, but still not feeling satisfied. And then at that time, Narad Goswami appears to him and gives him some chastisement, and telling him basically, you've made a kitchery, you've presented so many different things all mixed together. You haven't given any clarity, as to what is the highest goal and how can the sincere souls make approach towards that. And so he gave him some chastisement, and also some seed shlokas giving Krishna conception, to present that as the supreme, as the highest. So this verse, he's saying, he's saying how important it is to tell of that highest truth, even if you can't tell it perfectly, just because of the pure nature of that substance. It's still powerful. That's how powerful this is. That's how potent this is. Even if your presentation is faulty, still, because you're telling of that supreme subject, then it's still beneficial to the people of the world. On the other hand, you can tell of something, meaningless in some flowery and wonderful way, but it's empty. It's like a shell. There's nothing there, actually. So Srila Sridhar Maharaj is expressing that here, maybe my presentation is not, in his humility, my presentation is not perfect. I'm a faulty being. But because what I'm presenting is concerning the highest subject matter, it will still be appreciable, it will still be beneficial. So this is the translation here. Even if every stanza is imperfectly composed, that is, unlucidly expressed, the sins of the people are totally vanquished by those expressions or books in which the glorious holy names of the infinite Supreme Lord are described. Since the pure devotees hear those holy names from a qualified preacher, they solitarily sing those holy names even in the absence of others, and they chant the unending glories of those holy names in the presence of a deserving listener. And now this next verse is Srila Rupa Goswami. So I think these are the only two citations in this chapter. Everything else is Param Guru Maharaj's original verses. Abhivyaktam atra prakriti la guru padapi buddha vidatri siddhartan hari gunamayi va kritiryam pulindanapyagni kim usamidam unmatya janito hiranya sheninam apaharati nanta kalushatam. O learned personalities, this treatise, composed of the divine qualities of Lord Hari, will fulfill your cherished wishes, despite the fact that it is presented by me, a very insignificant person. Does not the fire ignited from pieces of wood rubbed together by a low-born barbarian dissipate the impurities in gold. So, again, along these lines, like I'm faulty, I'm such and such, but still I have some capacity to, be some type of like intermediary here. And so we'll see in this next verse, this is an interesting point, that this what is rendered here is like impurities, or I don't know what the Sanskrit says exactly, but like a kind of ignorance. That sometimes there's some parallel drawn with the darkness of separation, because I mean it's interesting, because we can say like Harikatha, it works on all levels. Like for like persons in the lower section, then Harikatha will purify them, full of impurities. But on the higher section, those high pure devotees, they're suffering from the pain of separation from the Lord. They will also get some relief, And there's a very beautiful, and so Param Guru Maharaj is taking that from that angle here. And there's a very beautiful verse in the Brahma Gita, I think it's the Brahma Gita in Bhagavatam, spoken by the Braja Gopis, glorifying Harikatha for these same reasons, on these points, Tavakatamritam tapta-jivanam kavibiritam kalmasafam shavana-mangalam shrimadatātam uvigrinanti je bodhida jana, saying how for those persons who are suffering in this world, like burning in the heat of this world, this is like to hear topics of the Lord, to hear topics about Krishna. This is the most valuable thing. This gives so much relief and joy. And so, who can like spread this? They are the greatest benefactors of this world. Philanthropy and so on and so forth can be conceived in different ways, and can be given on different levels. But this is real philanthropy. This is real magnanimity. This is real generosity. One who can give this most essential, most valuable thing. So that verse, it's the Braja Gopis they're talking about like the suffering of this world, but actually they're not experiencing that. They're not of this world. But what we can understand is that they are suffering in separation, and they're getting this higher type of relief, hearing the topics of the Lord. So here, Param Guru Maharaj is taking that angle of separation. As Srila Rupa Goswami Pad, I don't know if I read the Sanskrit, Yatokta Rupa Padena Nichenod Paditena Le Hemna Shudhistatai Atra Viraharti Hriti Satam. As Srila Rupa Goswami Pad has, in his humility, expressed that gold can be purified with fire lit by a barbarian. Similarly, the pure devotee's grief, born of their separation from the Lord, may also be dispelled by this book, which will light the lamp of their divine love for the Lord. So this is also like a humble expression of Srila Sridhar Maharaj, like not like I'm trying to purify people, but like I'm hoping, like humbly, I can give some relief, to like the higher devotees, like I'm offering some service to them. And this is actually what is considered to be the highest aspiration. We are like living on such a low level, but like in the real world, this is the only problem. Like, how do we become free from this pain of separation? That's the real problem. Srila Saraswati Thakur, he expresses in one place that our only goal, or our highest goal in life, is to give relief to the Brajabasis, the residents of Vrindavan, who are suffering in the absence of Krishna. Krishna has left them, he's left Vrindavan, and they're suffering in the pain of separation. This is our highest aspiration, to render some service to them, to give some relief to them. And similarly, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he, in his last days, he expressed the aspiration to live in Kurukshetra, because it's in Kurukshetra that the separation of Radharani and the Braja Gopis reaches its zenith point, because Krishna's left Vrindavan, they've been in separation like 100+ years, and then this event, of an eclipse takes place, and so everyone congregates in Kurukshetra and they meet Krishna for the first time in over 100 years. And you're thinking, oh, this is going to be the moment they get some relief, they find it, but actually it just becomes worse, because he's coming as a different person. He's coming as this royal prince of Dwarka, and has this huge entourage, and royal dress and elephants and trumpets and so on and so forth. And so it's actually becomes even more painful.
You can't get near him.
Exactly. Or they have some meeting, but it's different. It's not that same like beloved boy Krishna with the flute on the, they're like, where's the Jamuna, where's your flute, what's with this crown, so instead of getting relief, their separation actually climaxes. And so Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he expressed this aspiration to stay in Kurukshetra, because there, because service is valuable according to necessity. And so there, the service necessity reaches its peak. And so there, even a small amount of seva will be of infinite value there. Like if somebody gives you a glass of water, okay, thank you very much. But if you're like dying of thirst, and somebody gives you some little sip of water, you're going to be like totally indebted to, you're going to be so grateful for that little sip of water, because you are in such great need of it in that moment. So similarly, Sridhar Maharaj, she's expressing this aspiration to give relief to the devotees who are experiencing that pain of separation. Anta kavya shashkamam sadhu tavaranam bahi shudyantu sadhava sarve dushchikitsyam imam janam. O saintly devotees, please purify this wrongdoer, who on the pretext of saintliness desires in his heart the prestige of a poet, and who is thus afflicted with the practically incurable disease of insincerity. It's painful to hear this. But you see how careful and how cautious the devotees are, Like his intentions are completely pure, but he's doubting himself, oh, this is for my pratishta. There's always some, the devotees are never certain of, never overly confident, of their purity of heart. So he's saying, actually, I'm doing this, because I want to make some show of being a saint, being a poet. That is his. And also, Madhavendra Puri, I'm reminded of Madhavendra Puri when he's at the Gopinath temple, when he's traveling to from Vrindavan to Puri, and he stops in Ramuna just before Puri, and he's been serving the Gopal deity in Govardhan. And so when he stays he visits, I don't think he stayed there, but he visited this temple of Gopinath, and he observed what wonderful arrangements were there, in the seva of Gopinath, and they had this very, very wonderful kheer that they would offer every day. And so he observed that, and for a moment he thought to himself, oh, if I could only taste a little bit of that, then I would be able to make something like that for my Gopal deity also. If I can taste it, I'll have some idea of how to prepare it, and then I can make something similar. So he wasn't thinking about himself, he was just thinking about, but then immediately afterwards he became very embarrassed, like, oh, I'm just thinking of my own senses, and he's denouncing himself, and then afterwards, it's such a wonderful, I don't know if you remember that story, it's so wonderful in Chaitanya-chittānāṁ. Then afterwards he leaves, he's like resting in some marketplace nearby, and the pujari, he has a dream that this Gopinath deity appears to him and tells him, I actually hid one pot under my dress. So there were like 12 pots that were offered, and Gopinath said, I kept one of those pots, and you actually just took 11 away as prasad, and I'm keeping this for my devotee, Madhavendrapuri. And so he took that and he brought him. He found him, where's Madhavendrapuri? Where's Madhavapuri? You are very fortunate. So that Madhavendrapuri was doubting himself, but the Lord understood his heart and he reciprocated with him in this very wonderful way. But it is a nice lesson for us that we'll always be checking ourselves, when we're moving along, making decisions. We never want to be overly confident. If these kind of Vaishnavas are having this type of doubt, then we must also, always examine ourselves. What are our intentions in the various things that we do in our spiritual practice. This verse is very, very beautiful. And it doesn't come out so nice in English. In the Sanskrit, it's very, very beautiful and sweet and succinct. Kṛṣṇa-gata priya bhakta, bhakta-gata priyo hari. Kṛṣṇa-gata priya, so talk of Krishna is very dear, it's very priya to the devotees, to the bhakta. And bhakta-gata priyo hari, and talk of the devotees, that is dear to Hari. The devotees like to hear about Krishna, Krishna likes to hear about his devotees. Kṛṣṇa-gata priya bhakta, bhakta-gata priyo hari. Katanchirubayor atra prasangastha prasidatam. Tidings of Lord Krishna are naturally very dear to the devotees, and tidings of the Lord's devotees are also dear to him. Since narratives of both the Supreme Lord and his devotees can be found within this book, I have hope, O pure devotees, that you may be propitiated hereby. You may be pleased. Swabhava kripaya santo madhudesya malinatam samshodyangi kurudvambo hyaituka vipabdayo. O pure devotees, by your natural divine grace, kindly purify me of ill motives, offenses, and accept this treatise. Certainly you will do so, because you are the ocean of causeless mercy. This is also a very wonderful thought here, that we in our approach must be faulty. Actually, it's impossible, because we don't know anything else. So it's Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he gives one analogy of how a baby, a newborn child, their immune system is weak, and so it's very easy for diseases to attack them. And as they grow, they become stronger, they'll be in a better position to, fight those things. And so also he says, as junior, as beginners, then we cannot avoid making offenses, actually. It's impossible. We're just so neophyte. So it's impossible for us to begin actually completely and pure. That's inevitable. But as Param Guru Maharaj is expressing here very beautifully, our hope is that the superior devotees, they will purify us of those. We're coming with the wrong motive, but they're going to clean that and help us in the developing of the pure motive. They will transform that. O pure devotees, by your natural divine grace, kindly purify me of ill motives, offenses, and accept this treatise. My intention may not be pure, but you please accept it and you make it pure. Certainly you will do so, because you are the ocean of causeless mercy. Tathā grantha parityajya. Introduction to the book. Grantesmin padame nama Prapanna-jivanamrtam dasha-jaya Prapanānāṁ jivana pranadayakam vardakam poshakam nityam hridindriya rasayanam ati-marja rasolasa paraspada sukhavaham Vishakha milanartaptam kṛṣṇa-karmaṇām. Kṛṣṇa means, we say Vaishnav, but actually we're not Vaishnav. We're actually Kṛṣṇa, because Vaishnav means who worships Vishnu, and Kṛṣṇa means who worships Krishna. And actually, strictly speaking, Srila Saraswati Thakur, he gave this explanation of Vaishnava means Vishnu, Vaishnava means devotee of Vishnu, Kṛṣṇa means devotee of Krishna, but we are Gaudiya. And Gaudiya means who worships Radharani. In the line of Swarup Damodar. So Kṛṣṇa means the devotees of Krishna. Kṛṣṇa-pāda-rajojuṣām, the nectar of the talks of Krishna and the devotees of Krishna. Prapati vishayam vakyam chodritam shastra-samatam. The substance expressed within the 10 chapters of this holy book called Prapanna-jivanamrtam gives life to the surrendered souls, affecting their eternal growth and nourishment. It is the panacea of the heart and spiritual senses, bestowing those dedicated devotees mutual happiness by the ever-increasingly newer and newer play of super-mundane joy, Prakrita Ras. Lord Krishna and his associates are portrayed in their natural pastimes of separation and union, and the line of unconditional surrender as established by scriptures and saints has been elucidated. I'm going to read that one more time. The substance expressed within the 10 chapters of this holy book called Prapanna-jivanamrtam gives life to the surrendered souls, affecting their eternal growth and nourishment. It is the panacea of the heart and spiritual senses, bestowing those dedicated devotees mutual happiness by the ever-increasingly newer and newer play of super-mundane joy. Lord Krishna and his associates are portrayed in their natural pastimes of separation and union, and the line of unconditional surrender as established by scriptures and saints has been elucidated. Okay, now these following verses are, it will be difficult to find something more beautiful than this. Very, very beautiful. Atra chānanya-chittānāṁ kṛṣṇa-pāda-rajojuṣām kṛṣṇa-pāda-rajojuṣām, kṛṣṇa-pāda-prapannānāṁ, kṛṣṇārthe khila-karmaṇām, kṛṣṇa-premaika-lubdhānāṁ, kṛṣṇochchhiṣṭaika-jīvinām, kṛṣṇa-sukhaika-vāñchhānāṁ, kṛṣṇa-kiṅkara-sevinām, kṛṣṇa-vichheda-dagdhānāṁ, kṛṣṇa-saṅgollasaddhṛdām, kṛṣṇa-svajana-bandhūnāṁ, kṛṣṇaika-dayitātmanām, bhaktārthākhila-cheṣṭitam, hṛdayodghāṭi-marma-gāthāmṛtena ca, bhaktārthi-hada-bhaktāśya, bhishtaporti-kadam tathā, sarva-samshaya-chedi hrid-granthi-bij-jnana-bhasitam, apurva-rasa-sambhada chamatkarita-chittakam, viraha-vyadi-santapta bhakta-chitta-mahaushadam, yuktāyuktaṁ parityajya bhaktārthākhila-cheṣṭitam, atsma-pradana-paryanta pratigyanta pratishutam, bhakta-premaika-vashyasva sarupo-lasa-goshitam, purnashvasa-karam sakshat govinda-vachanamritam, samahritam pibantu bo sadhava shuddha-darshana. Carefully compiled in this book is the nectar of the deep, heart-revealing, transcendental messages of those devotees whose hearts are unalloyed, who are servitors of the dust of the lotus feet of Krishna, who perform their every act for Krishna, who are filled with insatiable desire, exclusively in love of Krishna, and sustain their lives on Krishna's remnants alone, who desire only Krishna's pleasure and serve the servants of Krishna, whose hearts burn in separation of Krishna and overflow with ecstasy in the association of Krishna, whose relative and friend is Krishna, and whose one and only beloved is Krishna. Along with these expressions of the devotees are carefully collected the words of supreme nectar, springing directly from the lotus mouth of Lord Govinda, which vanquish the heartbreak of the devotees, which fulfill the devotees' hopes and earnest aspirations, which destroy all doubt and sever the knot of ignorance, which are dazzling with transcendental wisdom and astonish the heart by miraculous waves of divine rapture, which are the great panacea for the devotee's heart, afflicted with the piercing pains of separation, which are incited wholly for the devotee, irrespective of his qualification or disqualification. So much so that the Lord is bound by his pledge to give himself to his devotee, and which openly proclaim with great ecstasy that his very nature is to be subjugated solely by the affection of his devotee, reassuring his devotees in all circumstances. O pure and spotless devotees, may you drink deeply the quintessence of these divine elixirs. I want to read that one more time. Carefully compiled in this book is the nectar of the deep, heart-revealing, transcendental messages of those devotees whose hearts are unalloyed, who are servitors of the dust of the lotus feet of Krishna, who perform. It's so purifying to hear this. Who are servitors of the dust of the lotus feet of Krishna, who perform their every act for Krishna, who are filled with insatiable desire, exclusively in love of Krishna, and sustain their lives on Krishna's remnants alone, who desire only Krishna's pleasure and serve the servants of Krishna, whose hearts burn in separation of Krishna and overflow with ecstasy in the association of Krishna, whose relative and friend is Krishna, and whose one and only beloved is Krishna. Along with these expressions of the devotees are carefully collected the words of supreme nectar, springing directly from the lotus mouth of Lord Govinda, which vanquish the heartbreak of the devotees, which fulfill the devotees' hopes and earnest aspirations, which destroy all doubt and sever the knot of ignorance, which are dazzling with transcendental wisdom and astonish the heart by miraculous waves of divine rapture, which are the great panacea for the devotee's heart, afflicted with the piercing pains of separation, which are incited wholly for the devotee, irrespective of his qualification or disqualification. So much so that the Lord is bound by his pledge to give himself to his devotee, and which openly proclaim with great ecstasy that his very nature is to be subjugated solely by the affection of his devotee, reassuring his devotees in all circumstances. O pure and spotless devotees, may you drink deeply in the quintessence of these divine elixirs. And this is described as the most wonderful quality of the Lord, to be subjugated by the love of his devotee. And this also, Srila Saraswati Thakur made this point. This is where you can understand real devotion to be present. Like in the example we just told of Madhaven's report, that the Lord himself is attracted to that. So, he's coming to that. He's coming after that. And so in Srila Rupa Goswami gives these 6 characteristics of bhakti, and the final one is Shri Krishna Karshini Chasa, that devotion, it is the attractor of Krishna himself. Sarva Karana Karanam, Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigranadi Adi Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam, who is the source of all, who is the origin of all, the cause of all causes. He becomes controlled, he is moved by that, the pure love of his devotee. This is the most wonderful. There cannot be anything more wonderful than this, actually. That the infinite will come under the influence of the finite through the link of love. Yes, you want to think of God as being so great, and he is the supreme being. He is He's so remote, he's so far. Okay, we can bow to that. But can you conceive of this, that supreme being can be moved by the love of one finite, being? That is a greater conception, actually. That's a much greater conception.
Yeah.
It's more wonderful.
The mercy there.
So really, it's accessible to everybody in that mode, if can take that simple mode of love.
Exactly. That's why it has to be through love.
Yeah.
You can't go in any other way, actually. It has to be. That's the only connecting link. It has to be through love and mercy. It's not that we can do anything or be anything that's going to get his attention or impress him. But the medium has to be love and mercy. It has to be that he is moved, to descend.
Yeah. And you understand that, and that's very real, I find. That's very real. I can really identify that. That's when it comes, and you feel it, when you feel love.
So we're very fortunate because we have connection with the bona fide guru, right? And they have that kind of relationship, and we're in their camp, we're in their group. So then we can get some touch of that. Adhyaya parityajya, chapter summary. Atraiva pratamadhyaye upakramamritabhide mangala charananchātma vigyaptir vastu nirnaya granta parichayo jaya vishayaschani veshitaha. An auspicious invocation, a humble petition, an introduction to the book and its chapters, and the theme of the philosophy of the book have, to the best of my ability, all been entered within this first chapter, named Upakramamritam, or prelude to approaching nectar. Dvitiyadhyaya nama Shishastra-vachanamrite Prapati Vishayanana Shastrokti Saniveshita. In the second chapter, entitled Shishastra-vachanamritam, the nectar of scriptural word, various scriptural quotations regarding surrender to the Supreme Lord have been compiled. Shrityato stamam yavat shibhakta-vachanamrite Prapati shadvida prokta bhagavata ganodita. Chapters 3 to 8 inclusive are entitled Shibhakta-vachanamritam, words of nectar from the devotees. Beautifully expressed by the lotus lips of the pure devotees of the Lord, many stanzas describing the 6 limbs of exclusive surrender are quoted therein. Anukulyasya sankalpa pratikulya vivarjanam rakshishyatiti vishvaso goptritve varanam tathā atmanikṣhepa-karpanye shadvida sharanagati evam paryayataschaśmin ekaikājaya sangraha. These 6 chapters have been compiled, each consecutively dealing with the 6 limbs of surrender, which are as follows. To accept everything favorable for devotion to Krishna. 2. To reject everything unfavorable for devotion to Krishna. 3. To be confident that Krishna will grant his protection. 4. To embrace Krishna's guardianship. 5. To offer oneself unto him. 6. To consider oneself lowly and bereft. Humility. Karpanye. So these are the 6. This is how Sharanagati has been. This is given in the scriptures also. These 6 divisions or 6 moods, 6 aspects, 6 limbs of surrender. Anukulyasya sankalpa, to accept everything that is favorable for devotion to Krishna and devotee seva to the devotees of Krishna. Pratikulya vivarjam, to reject everything unfavorable. Rakshishyatiti vishvaso, to have confidence in the Lord's protection. Goptritve varanam tathā, means to accept the Lord as one's maintainer, one's caretaker, protector, guardian. Atmanikṣhepa, full self-surrender. Karpanye, humility. So these 6 we will be going into more in these chapters. Adyaye navame nama bhagavad vachanamrite shlokamritam samahritam sakshat bhagavatoditam. In the 9th chapter, entitled Shri Bhagavad Vachanamritam, words of nectar from the Supreme Lord, nectarian stanzas emanating directly from the lotus mouth of the Supreme Lord have been compiled. So, chapter and verses from the scriptures, then 6 chapters, verses from the devotees, and the last chapter, or penultimate chapter, verses from the Lord, spoken by the Lord himself on this subject. Dashame chara madhyaye chavashesham ritabhide Guru Krishna smito branta syopasam haranam kritam. Absorbed in thought of the Divine Master and Lord Sri Krishna, the 10th and final chapter, entitled Shri Avasheshamritam, the divine remnants of nectar, was composed as the epilogue of the book. Udrita shloka purvetu. And so the very first and the very last chapter are Param Guru Maharaj's, mostly his original verses. And then in between is citations. Udrita shloka purvetu tad arta suprakashakam vakyancha yatnatastatra yata jnanam niveshitam. Prior to each stanza quoted, an aphorism illuminating its inner purport has been carefully entered according to my best insight. So we'll see in all of the cited verses, Srila Sridhar Maharaj has beforehand like a concise, tight, like summary of what is the essential point, in this verse that's being presented, like illuminating, highlighting what is the essence here, which is very helpful, very wonderful. There was one edition of Prapanna-jivanamrtam. I don't know who made it, but there's quite a few around. That was printed for some reason without those illuminations before the verses. But I liked Shuddha Shabha Prabhu's comment on that it's the book without the book. That's actually like the most valuable thing there. Sridhar Maharaj is, like what he's appreciating here and what he's pointing out to us. Like that's what's really valuable to us. So without that, that's not the book.
So I feel like it's just, because I don't know it so well, what is happening here. It's like, he's actually sort of, or the book is saying, it's linking it kind of with sort of revealed word. Do you know what I mean? Like it sort of hovers between someone writing and then revealed, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, it is like that. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that's what I keep my mind's feeling that I'm.
Yeah.
It's just very interesting, anyway, because I'll have to study, but
we'll go through it. But yes, it is like that.
Yeah.
It is like that.
Yeah.
He's drawing out all of these things, but they're also like his own expression, and then he's adding his own, illumination of those verses. So it is this, combined thing going on.
It's me greater than me great, kind of not me, but it drifts into revelation.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, and
it
out
is.
again, kind of whatever. But
Well, I would say it's all revelation, but in different ways.
Yeah.
In different ways, coming in different ways.
Which is pretty amazing.
We could also say it's like, it's actually becoming sweeter, these things, because it's revelation that's come, like I'm talking about the verses that have been collected from other heart expressions. That's revelation, right? But then Srila Sridhar Maharaj is taking that and percolating that, and it's coming out again, and it's becoming sweeter.
Yeah.
It's
interesting.
Yeah, this idea is seen sometime, mentioned in some places, like
it's like it's becoming more and more concentrated.
Yeah, it's more sweet coming through the heart of Srila Sridhar Maharaj. They're becoming more sweet, like more rich. In Bhagavatam, that analogy is given of Shukadev, like a parrot who's tasted the fruit of Bhagavatam, and it's become more sweet. Vyasadev, he gave Bhagavatam, but he wanted somebody else to give it to the world, right? He compiled, he prepared, he composed Bhagavatam himself, but he needed somebody else, and so he spoke it to his son Shukadev, seeing him as the right person. And then it was Shukadev who presented it, and so it's mentioned at the beginning of Bhagavatam that this Bhagavatam has become sweeter, coming through. The revelation first came through Vedavyas, but now it's passing through Shukadev, and it's become sweeter. And also in Chaitanya-charitamrita, Srila Kaviraj Goswami, he mentions how I'm chewing the remnants of Vrindavan Das Thakur. Vrindavan Das Thakur, he's the original presenter of Chaitanya Leela, and I'm chewing his remnants, So we can understand this is something sweeter here. This is something more. In there's a famous expression in Bhagavatam, chewing the chewed, like how material enjoyment, maybe it's even mentioned a few times, this concept, but how material enjoyment is like chewing the chewed, like something that has no juice left in it, you know. You know, like you have a dry sugar cane thing, and you've chewed it, and then again you're trying to get some, but there's nothing there, you know.
Yeah.
Or like there's one very funny analogy given, like sucking mango juice through like a beard, like it's an old beard, like trying to get some juice out of that, you know. So in material transactions, things get nasty. Like if they've already been eaten by somebody, you know, then they become nasty. But in spiritual transactions, the more
Sweeter.
people get through it, then the more sweet, the more tasty, the more Vaishnavas, you know, taste it, then the sweeter it becomes.
Yeah.
So that's a very wonderful point, actually. Because all of, you know, these verses, we can isolate them, right, from their source in different places, but now they've become something else, actually. It's never occurred to me before. I'm happy you brought this up. Yeah, it's become something more.
Right.
Okay, I'll read a little bit more. I think we can finish this chapter today. Bhagavad Goda Chandranam Varanindu Sudatmika. And you see, actually, like, this is why, you know, we need some congregation, because in the association of other sincere devotees, then sincere practitioners, you know, there's this wonderful flow that's created, you know, and something, you know, I wouldn't have thought of that, you know, but you had some inspiration, you mentioned something, and then you see, this is very, very nice, and you see, there's some exchange,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And the Lord, He's attracted by that, actually. Naham tishtami, it's a very famous verse Gurudev used to quote. Naham tishtami vaikunte yoginam hṛdayena va mad bhakta tathā gayanti tathā tishtami narda, where the Lord is saying, I don't live in Vaikuntha, I don't live in the hearts of the devotees. You know, like, and we can understand by Vaikuntha, like the spiritual world, I don't live there. But where my devotees are singing my glories, that's where I am, actually, you know, where my devotees, you know, with their you know, love, they are chanting my glories, I appear there. So the Lord, He's very attracted by that vibration, that discussion, this exchange, and there's a particular sweetness that can come out of that. Bhagavad Gaur Chandranam Vadanendu Sudatmika Bhaktokte Reshita Shloka Bhakta Bhavu Dutayata. Being revealed by the Lord Himself, adopting the heart of a devotee. The stanzas of pure nectar emanating from the moon of Sri Gaur Chandra have been entered along with the stanzas of the devotees. Prapatya Saha Chānanya Bhaktir Naikantya Hetuta Ananya Bhakti Sambandham Bahu Vakyam Ihodritam. Many expressions of exclusive devotion, Ananya Bhakti, have been recorded herein, since exclusive devotion is most intimately related to surrender. Bhagavad Bhakta Shastranam Sambandhosti Parasparam Tat Pradanyato Namnam Prabheda Karanam Smritam. Actually, words of nectar from the Supreme Lord, words of nectar from the devotees, and the nectar of scriptural word are all seen to be interrelated. Still, they have been portrayed separately due to their individual importance. Parityajya visheshastu tatra tatraiva vakshate mahajana-vichādasya kinchira-lochate-duna. The unique characteristic of each chapter will be accordingly expressed therein. Now, in this respect, we may have some general deliberation in the line of the great devotees of the Lord. What time is it now?
Oh, got me.
We don't know the time. It's 10. Maybe it's a good place to stop.
Yeah. Yeah, that was quite.
That was a good, something to chew, to digest, something to digest. And then, because we have a very important verse coming up. I don't want to rush over it.
No.
So let's stop there for today. Well, I'm so happy to be here with both of you. Very nice things are coming. Jai Shishi Prapanna-jivanamrtam. Jai Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Shri Rupanuga Gunvarga Ki Jai Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Harinam Sevita Ki Jai Jai Gaur Prem